Today we're going to be building an awesome festival area in the city of Thaldrim. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to MorningCraft, and let's get started. You can see this area of town is a complete mess. We've been busily working on the new coastal town of Gronsport, and I think it looks pretty good. But just across the river is an absolute mess that's going to need some serious cleaning up if it's going to look as good as this. So I got to work on this area over here. We can see these ruined castles, which weren't even ruined, just never built them. And so I cleaned them up a tad, cleaning up all of the walls, and then I came up with an idea. Also, how good does this watchtower look? Pretty good. It's mainly the cathedral doing all the work here, but it does still look good, even on its own. So here's the crazy idea for what we're going to be building in this area. It's a cone. We are building a cone. Ooh. But it goes down. It's a cone that goes down into an interesting pit. Now, what is the purpose of the pit, I hear you ask? Well, it's a child pit, and what I mean by that is we're going to be throwing numerous small children into the very bottom. Really? But we're going to be building something pretty cool here. I just had to add a few details to the cone first. And you can see we've got this cool tiered structure around the edges of the pit. I wonder what we're going to be building there. But before I can show you the awesome build, we're going to have to do a little bit of cleaning up. I had to add a bunch more details to the cone. Ooh, the cone. Ooh, I added grass on top and some walls. And now I think it looks pretty good. And then I also improved the walls around the entranceway to the cone. Literally, why are there goats everywhere in my world? I just didn't make the fence high enough and now I just have to deal with them. Just like chilling on the mountain. If the goats had children, I'd throw them into the pit. I need to make a child pit. Right, that's next episode sorted. Oh, goat's children, baby goat is literally called kid. It literally makes sense. Anyway, here's what we're building. We're building an awesome arena under the cone. You can see we've got this sort of platform here where people could be fighting or maybe performing. And then we've got these tiered sections building up to the entranceway of the pit. It's almost like an amphitheatre, but when you see the rest of the build, you'll see it's just more like a regular arena. It's obviously not as grand as the Colosseum that we built in Mornington, but it's going to look pretty cool. It's got supports holding it up. Oh, what is not to like? Also hangled. I was going to say dangled. I was also going to say hung. I hangled some beautiful lights from the bottom of the cone, and then I continued around each of the tiers into these cool sort of circles. These concentric circles build out to give our arena its shape, and with the shape in place, it's time to get to work. I sort of wanted this to look like the Globe Theatre, and so I went for a nice Tudor style with some dark logs and some white wool. But there's still a ton of work to do to get this to look as good as it can be. I added some extra details with fences and trapdoors, and I've got this nice carve out on the corner. It's a circle, it doesn't have a corner. But you see the carve out, it's on the edge. Phew, you can look in, isn't it good? And so now as we fly out from our stage area, we can see our arena, and it's looking pretty interesting. And on top we have our cone, with a bunch of cherry trees on it, because we don't have enough cherry trees in this town. Yeah, we definitely need more cherry trees. Story time.
Your Majesty, all my life I have run. I wore the chains of cowardice, but you taught me different. You showed me that to live is to fight, even when the enemy is too many. You showed me that defeat is not the greatest shame. Surrender is. And now, I see doubt in your eyes. But I will not let you fall into the pit I once fell into. I will not. There is still a path, Your Majesty. Ladagen stands. Ladagen waits. They still hold the arms we need to be formidable. If we move now, we carry your fire there. If we fight, we may live as men, not kneel as slaves. If you surrender here, it is over. Not just for you, but for all who believed in you. But if you lead us to Ladagen, you stay true to everything you ever taught, that a fight, even a losing one, is worth more than a life lived on your knees. There was plenty of land around Thaldrim, perfect for your people, but I was too great a coward to stand against 12 men. How do you rate your army's chances against those 12 now?
船の準備を整えて。
Hey, so we're back. And you can see our arena looks incredible, lit up in the night. You can imagine some kind of grand battle happening here. Perhaps a duel between two notable warriors. And I built these interesting walkways into each level of the arena. And of course, we got a staircase on the left to help you get to them. This makes for a rather interesting entranceway into our arena, but it's the best I could come up with. But at this point, I went entirely crazy, if the Pit of Children wasn't already doing that, and I decided it was time to add a bunch of other things to this area. If we got an arena here, we may as well turn it into a huge festival garden with all sorts of fun things to do. And so I added a set of walls around it, and then I removed our bakery. No, the bakery, why'd you get rid of the bakery? Everyone loved the bakery. Worse, one of the worst buildings. But what we're putting in its place is much, much better. This is going to be a jousting arena. You can see the central part there, where the horses can run along, and the people on the horses can hit each other with sticks. I'm sure there's more rules to jousting, but it's just men on horses with sticks hitting the other men on horses with sticks. Kind of like polo. I then built a bunch of pathways that lead between all the different buildings, and I thought it was looking pretty good. However, I did want to make this more like a garden. We needed just a little bit more natural beauty. And so I came back to the jousting arena to finish it off with some extra details. I added in these cool plant pots. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Not really. And then I went ahead and added a roof to this building and a bunch of glowberries. And now we have a pretty cool jousting arena where the men on horses with sticks can hit the other men on horses with sticks. I guess a woman could be jousting as well. It's not like an exclusive thing. I'm going to be honest, my knowledge of jousting comes from like Game of Thrones, so, and that one episode of House where there's a bunch of people who like jousting. It's like a fantasy fair. We don't have those over here, like Renaissance fairs. I've heard they're more of a thing in America. But I added in a ton of details to make our festival garden a little bit more like a garden and a little bit less like a combat sport Disneyland. And I thought the overall result was pretty good. We've got our weird cone child pit, and then we've got the man on horse with stick arena, and then we've got the weird walkway, which looks kind of like our pub, but a whole lot less fun. But I do have a question for those of you watching. Witches, do you think we have enough cherry trees? Do we need more? I think we might have enough now. Which is why, in the next episode, we're going to be building a forest that doesn't have cherry trees. Woo, yeah! Woo! He builds a tree that isn't pink. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's something to look forward to and to subscribe for. See you next time.